when I was 13 or 14, I took on our school's tuck shop and built this sort of healthier sandwich option. It's just this love of just being outside of my comfort zone, the uncertainty. I thrive in uncertainty. I've worked in a corporate job and I hated it. I was miserable. And I now thrive in this sort of uncertainty and risk, really. So I went about it trying to build this all singing, all dancing product with all bells and whistles on, and they just, stopped me right there and said, look, just launch it. Be embarrassed by your first product. Just launch it, see how people use it, and adapt and adopt this sort of agile way of working. Things won't go your way. You're doing your best, keep going. And also this sort of stoic philosophy of separating yourself from the result. Don't take it personally. You are just doing your best.
Our eating habits are changing. We're demanding better dining experiences, and the food market has never been so competitive. Starting and succeeding with a food business is challenging, but some determined and passionate entrepreneurs are flourishing. These people have big dreams, big passion, and big drive. They are disruptors, change makers, and innovators. They see a positive future. Many say that food business is too risky. Some say that it has huge rewards. Are you up for the challenge? I had ex-rugby player Joel Burgess from health-based Nutrifix, the health-based app, on the show today. He's a super entrepreneurial guy. I guess he developed his positive, success-driven mindset from his days playing rugby and boxing. And he had so many insights into productivity. He's got super focus, and really he's all about maximizing every minute of the day to gain as much productivity for the business. I found it really interesting. He has just pivoted the business. So he was B2C initially, and he's just moved to B2B. And he's got some really exciting plans and some partnerships for the near future. So I'm sure he's going to grow very quickly. And yeah, very exciting times for him. So I really enjoyed this interview. I found it really insightful. I hope you do too. Enjoy. This is Food Motion. I am Peter Farrell. My guest today is Joel Burgess, founder and CEO of Nutrifix, a nutrition app that locates nearby healthy meals which are tailored to individual bodies' needs and dietary requirements. In November 2016, just before launching, Nutrifix was one of the first startups to join the Just Eat Food Tech Accelerator program, which provided the team with 10 weeks of intensive mentoring in addition to £20,000 of investment. In March 2017, Nutrifix launched and succeeded with a crowdfunding campaign, raising £200,000. This fueled the initial growth and success, and within the first year, Nutrifix built up over 5,000 users and data from over 9,000 locations and 90 vendors. Although still a relatively young business, Joel has built a strong foundation and is achieving some very positive traction for the business. Joel, welcome to Food Motion.
Thanks for having me.
So I know sport was a big part of your life growing up.
Yep.
How do you think that shaped your mindset? And I guess you have a success focus. Do you think that was a part of building that or developing that in yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was a really passionate rugby player. I tried to go professional, had a number of injuries that sort of stopped that short. But yeah, I think rugby is probably the ultimate team game. You're putting your body on the line. So it definitely taught me leadership, teamwork. I think leading by example. The best way to inspire your team is to, put your head where, it hurts, work harder. So it definitely sort of taught me that. But also, work ethic. I always stayed and did extra. Even when I was 12, we'd do fitness. I would stay and do another 30 minutes on my own. So I always inspired that sort of work ethic in me. Just that sort of drive and ambition. I really wanted to be a professional rugby player. I probably wasn't that naturally talented, but I worked so hard at fitness, in the gym, in the game, that's kind of how I got so far, which I did. I then actually got into boxing.
Okay.
So again, work ethic, getting outside your comfort zone. There's nothing scarier than being in a ring, on your own. So yeah, that definitely taught me getting out your comfort zone. And just that work ethic, I suppose.
Okay. And do you find that you're goal orientated, in that you're trying to achieve something and I guess get that feeling of success and scoring in a sense?
Yeah, I think, absolutely. I've always been very focused, goal-driven. Even when I was younger, I had posters on the wall written of what I need to achieve, little mantras to myself. So that's certainly, it's been with me from the start. I think I've got more enjoyment out of working as a team and winning as a team. So when I much preferred rugby to boxing because I had that team element. So whereas boxing, you're on your own. There's not much enjoyment from winning on your own.
Sure.
Actually, when you win as a team, it's just heightens that feeling of success so much more. So actually working as a team to achieve success, I think that's far more than just individual success.
Okay. So it's clear you have the entrepreneurial mindset. It seems you developed it from the sport.
Yeah.
What was your earliest entrepreneurial moment? Were we doing entrepreneurial ventures when you were younger, or how did that skill side develop in you?
Yeah, so my dad has his own business, has run it for 30 years or so. So I kind of grew up around that sort of entrepreneurial mindset. I saw him building a business, and that kind of always has interested me. I think even when I was 13 or 14, I took on our school's tuck shop and built this sort of healthier sandwich option. So I went around the school getting kids to order their snacks for the next day, and I would then go home at night, make healthy snacks, make healthy sandwiches, salads and stuff, and then deliver it out to the students the next day. I was making like 2 or 3 grand in a term. For like a 14-year-old, it's quite a lot of money.
Wow.
So I think that's my earliest sort of venture. I then designed this. I've always been into creating and building products. I designed this thing for my mum's dog training class. I saw it on Crufts, tried to redesign it, built it, and sold some to my mum's dog training class. And then at uni, I tried to launch a nightclub night. And it was an awful flop.
Okay.
I tried to take on the most popular night in Bristol, and it was a flop.
Okay.
But I think I've always had that sort of entrepreneurial mindset, and I've always wanted to create, build stuff, and get out of my comfort zone, I suppose.
Okay. How did you pick yourself up after that flop at an early age as well?
Yeah.
It impacted you a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it probably impacted my street cred more than anything, because I would almost pay people to come to my nights. It was so bad. But I think at that age, you're sort of so young-eyed and wide-eyed to the world, and you don't really take these things too seriously.
Sure.
Which I still deal relatively well with rejection. So, yeah.
Okay. What do you think fuels your entrepreneurial spirit and drive? What keeps you going, and even with failures and other businesses, and even now with this business and growing it? What is that kind of fuel that's behind you, do you think?
I think when it comes to it, I love building stuff. I love creating products that people use. I have an ultimate vision for myself, and that kind of, I always come back to that and what I want to achieve in the world and what I want to do. So I have a real drive and passion to build something that's going to have an impact on the world and change the way people live, and for the better, I'm massively passionate about health and fitness. So that's kind of driving what I'm doing right now. But I think what it comes down to is it's just this love of just being outside of my comfort zone, the uncertainty. I thrive in uncertainty. I've worked in a corporate job and I hated it. I was miserable. And I now thrive in this sort of uncertainty and this sort of this risk really. So it's sort of fueled by my passion for my ultimate vision, but also just the love of what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were working in the corporate job in property.
Yeah.
What then, I guess, drove you to make the decision to leave that and to start Nutrifix?
Yeah, so when I realised I had basically had a few too many injuries in rugby, realised I wasn't going to make it into rugby, moved into the property sector, kind of at that time sort of ego-led, chasing the money, I suppose. Moved into property, worked around the world in Singapore, Dubai, and it was when I was in Dubai I moved to London, or seconded to London to open up Shake Shack here. And essentially it was whilst I was opening up Shake Shack that I experienced the problem that we're now trying to solve. So I was eating out all the time, getting some really bad habits, and I tried various diet plans, I tried tracking the food I was eating, tried these sort of meal planning boxes and things like that, but I was massively convenience driven, and I was really frustrated about the lack of transparency of what was in my food. So I developed this spreadsheet which had the nutritional information of thousands of meals. I then did like a personal meal planner based on food from the high street. I know it's really sad, but that's the kind of engineer in me. Spent loads of time doing it. I kind of thought, okay, I've spent all this time building this spreadsheet based on nutritional information out and about. Wonder if anyone would buy it. So I ended up selling the spreadsheet for 75 quid to about 40-50 people through Facebook advertising. And then that's kind of got what kind of started it all, really. I kind of thought, okay, if someone's going to buy a spreadsheet, there's got to be something in this. No one else is doing this. And at the time, I think it was all just fell into place. My job in Dubai asked me to move back to Dubai. And we pitched to Just Eat. Just Eat invested 20 grand. And it kind of got to a point where it's like, I could go back to this job in Dubai, which is making me miserable, paying loads, but I'm not passionate about it at all. Or I could give this a go, and if it fails, well, I've given it a go. And I'm the kind of guy that does take action. I'm not, scared of risk. So took the jump, and yeah.
Okay.
3 or 4 years later.
Okay. How important do you think it was getting onto that Just Eat Accelerator? Because it was right off, kind of the first step.
Yeah,
really, wasn't it?
literally got us up and running.
Okay.
I mean, by that point we just had an idea, a bit of a prototype. So it was so crucial for us. That money, but also the brand behind us.
Okay.
We shortly raised on Crowdcube. So to have an investor like Just Eat, that gives you a massive point of validation.
Sure.
So it was really important.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did they help then shape the idea and develop the concept and open up doors for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing they helped us with was this sort of lean startup mindset. This was the first sort of tech business I was trying to build, and I went about it trying to build this all singing, all dancing product with all bells and whistles on, and they just stopped me right there and said, look, just launch it. You'll be embarrassed by your first product. Just launch it, see how people use it, and adapt and adopt this sort of agile way of working. And I think that was the biggest thing we learned from that, because we launched, sure enough, no one used it, day one. So, we could have gone down this road of building this massive product. No one uses it.
Sure.
We lose all our money. So, I think that was our biggest takeaway from the Accelerator.
Okay. And what challenges did you encounter at that very early stage?
I suppose at that stage, it was probably the most fun, actually. Part of running a business is you're on your own. You're not managing anyone. You can move so quickly. You can change direction so quickly. So it was actually just really fun, and I was learning so much. It obviously had its challenges, but you just had, I've always had this drive of just, sort of this sort of pig-headed discipline of just keep going. I started a blog, a social media. At the start we had 2 people reading my blog, and next week we maybe had 3 or 4. But you just had this relentless determination to just keep going, stick at it, and eventually, our newsletter's now read by 12,000. So, you've just got to keep at it. But I think at the start it's just great fun. Okay.
And even as a sole founder and working on your own, did you have a craving to get that team around you again?
I think, as I was saying at the start, it's probably the easiest to be a sole founder at the start, because you can move so quickly. You're not, you don't spend too much time talking about things, strategizing. You just action. I think as growing a business moves on, actually it gets harder as a sole founder. You obviously have more stakeholders, people reliant on you, you're paying salaries, you've got investors, so it kind of all falls onto you. You know, I think it's a very, very lonely place being a sole founder. You get no feedback, you have no one to bounce ideas off. So I think it does get harder as you move on a business as a sole founder. One thing I've brought in is some amazing advisors, and I think that is something that's really, really, really helped me, because I can then just be completely vulnerable with them and say how it really is, and they've kind of pointed me in the right direction, really.
Okay, so how do you deal as a sole founder? Let's say you're having a tough day.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that internally in your own mind? Is it to go out to your mentor and kind of offload, or how do you remain positive and keep that drive?
Yeah, so I'm very structured in my thought process, way I run my days. I think the word that comes to mind when I'm having a bad day is surrender. So, this Brené Brown idea of, I know I'll fail, but I'm all in. You can only do what you can do, and I kind of surrender to that fact, and things won't go your way. You're doing your best, keep going. And also this sort of stoic philosophy of separating yourself from the result. Don't take it personally. You are just doing your best. So I think that's one part. Having a group of advisors. I've got a mastermind group of guys. We sort of share our sort of challenges in the day. So if I'm having a bad day, I will put something on the group, and they'll pick me up. But I think one thing I'm trying to do before that is not be reactive to it, is be on the front foot. So I have a very sort of strict morning routine, and that really sets me up for the day. So I think to try and have a bad day, you've got to start with a good morning.
Okay, very good. I know you're really into maximizing productivity, and enhancing your routines.
Yeah.
How do you, I guess, decide what to focus on and to ensure you're focusing on the right thing at the right time?
Yeah. I'm a bit of a productivity ninja. I love, productivity planning and all that kind of stuff. But I think big thing for me is having a weekly review. So every Sunday I set an hour to 90 minutes. I review what went well in a week, what I could have done better, what I learned. I write a daily journal. I look at my sort of decision journal. So any big decisions I've made in a day, I'll say why I've made that in a sort of daily journal. I'll read my daily reviews in my weekly review. And then I have a Trello board with a backlog of projects, ideas, tasks. And then I move from my backlog into my weekly priority. I have 5 projects, so 1 a day. I think you can only really achieve 3 hours a day of proper deep work, creative work. And it's really critical in that Sunday that I plan the most important project. And I think a good filter for me to have is, what is this stopping me doing? And that's a really good filter. But also I have a weekly call with my advisor on Thursday, and he really challenges me on what my priority is. I think prioritizing is the biggest and most important part of launching a business, and probably the biggest challenge as well. But having that weekly review means you're reviewing things, you're reflecting, but then you're also prioritizing and you're not reactive. So come every morning, I know exactly what my project is for that day. Every day I have 3 hours of deep work in the morning, no email, no Slack, my team know not to contact me unless it's urgent.
Okay.
And then I tackle that one big project every day.
Okay, very good. Proper ninja stuff, for sure.
Really is, yeah. I've refined over last 4 years.
The book is coming soon.
Yeah, one day.
Very good. And I follow you on social media. I know you're quite prominent and quite active on that as well. Have you found that to be impactful to the business? And how do you leverage then your followers?
Yeah, it's something that I've been right from the outset. I just knew there was a huge opportunity with social media. I think especially in such a challenging market, 1 point of difference for our business is me, you know, and I really need to be the front of the business, you know, embracing and reflecting the brand and the values of our business. So I think that's been really, really important. I think how we sort of leverage the audience, I suppose this sort of Gary V idea of jab, 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 hook, you know, give, you know, give content, give advice. You know, not necessarily asking that often, but now and again you just ask for a favor, or you know, you try and sell, you know. So this sort of educational marketing, or just idea of like you know, giving before asking, I think that's a really good mindset to have when it comes to social media.
Okay, very good. What other ways then do you gain impact and leverage for the business and building the brand?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and I'm not necessarily sure we've absolutely nailed it yet, but certainly through partnerships, through PR, through just getting yourself out there, talking at events, getting yourself out of your comfort zone. So I talk at a lot of events, try to go to a lot of events, network. So you know, I think that's been really, really important. We've actually pivoted to a B2B now, so our tactics have slightly changed. But with the B2C, we were trying to build a community. I think you know, some businesses that have done that so well, you know, and people want to stand for something, and that's what we were trying to do on the consumer side. Things have slightly changed now, but yeah, I think that community, but also, you know, getting out there, networking, presenting, you know, partnerships, you know, working with other businesses. Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned you pivoted there from B2C to B2B.
Yeah.
What were the factors that led to making that decision?
Yeah, so it was the start of last year. We were trying to raise some funds on the B2C business, and it was incredibly difficult. And we got to a point where we were looking at the numbers, we were looking at the data, and it was very clear and apparent the direction things were going, and it was kind of downhill. Lots of people using the app, lots of people downloading the app, but it was very difficult to make revenue from the app. We just didn't have the critical mass of restaurants offering click and collect. Delivery from a partnership with Deliveroo wasn't generating enough revenue. So we had to make some really hard decisions. We had to let go of some team members who were focused on sort of the B2C marketing and growing the B2C side. And we, you know, essentially said to my investors, you know, I still believe there's something with the B2B. You know, give me 2 months and I'll figure this out. And we went out, designed a prototype, went out to clients to, you know, built our pipeline to sell this B2B product, which was just a prototype. And then in that month, we got 5 clients on board for the B2B product, you know, and that kind of validated the idea of, okay, this actually works. Let's focus on this. And then we raised further 400 grand on our B2B business. So yeah, don't be afraid. I mean, our vision hasn't changed, our values haven't changed, but the way we're getting there has.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. I know you've been quite active in doing partnerships with other businesses.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned Deliveroo.
Yeah.
I know you've done a collaboration with Benito's Hat.
Yeah, that's right.
And others as well.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, how do you decide which ones to pursue?
Mm-hmm.
I guess you're getting opportunities regularly. How do you decide which is best for the business and where it's worth the effort and time, I suppose?
Yeah, I think really important to define your values and what your mission is. So we have a very clear mission and vision. So I think defining that and working out whether, you know, those potential partners are aligned with your mission and vision. Benito's and Hat and Deliveroo came about sort of actually us going to them. So I think, you know, it's like any marketing strategy. You know, define your ideal customer. You know, build out that pipeline. You know, build out your sort of sales engine and just start that process. You know, with being so small as a business, you know, you need to make it so easy to partner. You know, you need to define exactly, you know, what we'll be doing and actually make it zero work for them. And that's how it was with Deliveroo. We defined exactly what we would be doing, and all we needed from then was this one small thing, and the integration would work. So yeah, making it as simple as possible, I think that's very crucial. crucial for like small businesses like ourselves.
Okay, and I know one of your partnerships is with a DNA testing platform as well. Is that something you see growing and becoming mainstream, or how do you see that kind of developing over time?
Yeah, that was, if I'm honest, that test didn't go so well. I think British people are a little bit hesitant about sharing their DNA, and the data, the data worries there. So it didn't massively kick off. I do still believe there is this huge opportunity with, DNA testing, gut biome testing, blood testing. I think people do want to know more about themselves and more about what they should and shouldn't be eating. I think there is an increased understanding of people are different. What you should be eating is totally different to what I should be eating. So I do see this huge opportunity with the likes of, I think we're particularly excited about gut biome testing actually, because your DNA doesn't necessarily show you right in the moment what you should and shouldn't be eating. It sort of shows you what you're predisposed to, but actually your gut health is more of a better indication of what you should and shouldn't be eating right now. So I think we're more excited about that. So yeah, it's an exciting space. I think we're still a long way from that to become mainstream. So we're focusing on trying to just make healthy eating easier. Eventually, we will like to plug in DNA, gut biome testing, that kind of stuff.
But these type of things take time really for
100%,
consumers' habits to change.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I know you're working with many restaurants. What kind of trends are you noticing out there? How's it changing dining scene and consumers' habits are changing? Like we're in a food hall here, which are obviously exploding.
Yeah.
So how do you see the market at the moment, and how do you see it changing going into the future?
Yeah, so I hate to say it, but plant-based is a big trend, and I don't wanted to say something different. Want to say something different to that, but we are seeing an increasing number of both on the user-based side, like people's preferences in the app and our B2B. There's a lot more vegans, vegetarians, pescatarians now than it was 3 years ago when we launched. And also when you look on the menus, there's an increasing number of vegan, vegetarian options. We're seeing, we particularly work with sort of healthier food restaurants. We're seeing a lot of restaurants now focusing on gut health. I think there's an increasing understanding of how important your gut health is. So raw food, probiotics, kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha, that kind of stuff. So there is certainly an increasing demand and understanding from the use base that how important our gut health is, and restaurants are reacting to that. So yeah, we're really excited about sort of the health and wellness space. There's an increasing number of healthy restaurants popping up. With the likes of sort of dark kitchens, delivery editions. We're seeing actually a lot of delivery-only healthy food options. So it's working well for us, and I think globally one of the biggest, fastest growing markets is health and wellness. So I don't think it's a trend, it's here to stay. Okay,
and just on the plant-based choice, I guess, like I notice in the street food side, there's a lot of plant-based, the kind of junk food style food.
Yeah.
Do you see now the next step as being kind of plant-based but healthy? So kind of moving away from the junk food, or do you think that will remain and then health will come in kind of on top of that, or how do you see it?
Well, I think I think the reason is for that is people have thought, all plant-based food is healthy. No matter what, if it's like deep fried or burgers, there's this idea of like if it's a plant-based burger, it's healthy. But when you actually look to what's in it, you work out it's full of crap. Sure. So I think a big thing we're trying to do is provide transparency, and I think people are frustrated now, are getting more frustrated at being marketed to as something being healthy because it might be plant-based, but then to see it's got a load of chemicals, a load of fake rubbish in. So I think people are demanding transparency, and that's something we're trying to service. So just because it is plant-based doesn't mean it's healthy. But yeah, I do think sort of a raw food, probiotic, kimchi, sauerkraut, I think that will definitely be a trend we see. because that's how we used to eat and stay healthy ages ago, and the nutrients in our food are getting less and less, and fermenting food definitely brings out more nutrients in food. So
okay,
yeah.
So obviously there's a lot of businesses similar to yourself,
Yeah.
developing food tech-based apps, kind of tapping into this health trend.
Yeah.
How do you, I guess, keep up with what's going on, first of all,
Yeah.
with new players coming onto the market? And then secondly, how do you ensure you're competing and staying ahead of all these people as well?
Yeah, I think it's really important to not get too worried about competition. Obviously, keep an eye on them. I think you'll naturally find out about competition. I think people often, you'll find lots of people messaging you and say, have you heard about this? And so that will naturally happen. I think there's lots of food tech groups in London. So, going to lots of events, networking, speaking to those people. I think a big thing of how we're trying to stay ahead is, our data. So we have the largest set of nutritional data from food and restaurant in London. We actually monetize that. And that data is unique to us. It's not shared with Deliveroo, it's not shared with Uber Eats or any other platforms. So that data is a really, really big USP of ours. And I suppose how to stay ahead in terms of technology and innovation, speaking to users, speaking to restaurants, being on the ground in the trenches. We've got an amazing product person who heads up product at Graze. He helps us part-time with our sort of strategy and our product roadmap. So, and just adopting this agile methodology, constantly testing things, not spending too much money or time on it, but seeing how you can test things, and just being okay with failure, and learning from it, really.
Okay, so as more and more of these apps, I guess, go live, how do you see it playing out? Like, the space could become saturated. Do you think some will just fail and fall out, or would there be mergers or buyouts? Like, you got MyFitnessPal as an example. Do you think they would buy out some of the smaller players, or how do you see it playing out?
Yeah, I think so. I think when those businesses sort of hit a roof on, number of users, they'll obviously look at ways they can plug in new revenue streams. So I definitely think there will be mergers. We're particularly excited about sort of the personalized nutrition angle, and we're acquiring all this data on ourselves, but actually how do you use that data? What we're trying to do is take that data and make informed, convenient. I think a big point is convenient choices. So, I would love to see some mergers between the likes of, Fitbit and Nutrifix, or, Viome and Nutrifix, something that, takes data and we actually can empower that data with our algorithm, essentially. So yeah, we'd love to see, making, our vision is sort of making personalized nutrition a reality, taking away the stress of healthy eating. So, we'd love to see a merger like that. But yeah, staying ahead, I think also a big point of difference for our business is myself, and being being the sort of spokesperson, living and breathing the brand, social media, being out and about, public speaking, and the team. We've got an amazing team, so employing a really good team, staying agile, being willing to fail, putting in the right direction.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a risky sector, but...
Sure, okay. So what's your expansion strategy then going forward from now, I guess, over the next 5 years or so?
Yeah, so we've, as you're saying, we've pivoted to a B2B. We've just, I'm very big on partnerships, so trying to leverage other companies' audiences. So we've just secured a very, very large partnership, which will essentially get us to, pretty significant scale in London the next year. They are owned by a global business which turn over about 8 billion a year. So that would be, a very good expansion strategy worldwide. It makes total sense in terms of partnership. They don't do what we do, but they have the same clients. So, and they're looking at ways they can grow revenues with their clients. So that will be a very, very big part of our expansion strategy, and I really am a big believer of partnerships. But then once we've sort of launched that, we're launching an enterprise product. So then you get more into enterprise sales, education marketing, content marketing. Again, come back to that, give idea. And then building out our sort of digital marketing engine. Once we have that sort of base of revenue, we don't have any marketing hires at the moment, so bring in a good digital marketing person to lead that sort of digital marketing engine. So that's the idea. Hopefully be global within sort of 2 years. UK this year and next, and then looking at any cities that make sense. I think like cities like Dubai, Singapore, Hong Kong. If that makes sense, or maybe Munich, or German cities. So yeah, we'll do that research.
Okay.
But really important for us right now to have real just pig-headed discipline and focus.
Sure, very good. Exciting times ahead.
It is, yeah,
sure.
It is, yeah.
Very good. So I'd like to just finish off on 2 general questions.
Yeah, of course.
If we can. Is there one thing you know now that you wish you knew when you were starting out? When you had that seed of an idea?
Yeah. Do you know what? I probably to go B2B first.
Okay.
Yeah, but at the same time, like you learn from these things. We wouldn't have acquired the data set that we have now if we went B2B first, perhaps. So I think that's a big bit of learning. I think also to add to that, I know you asked for one, I'm going to give you 2, is to get a really good advisor, someone who's been there and done it, been in the trenches, built a team. Yep. My advisor's built a business of, has 10 million in revenue, did that in 5 years. Having an advisor like that is just invaluable. So I'd say, those 2 things.
Okay, very good. And you've slightly answered the second one.
Okay.
Is there any advice you'd give to somebody starting out in a related business, or just a food business in general?
Yeah.
From your experience?
Yeah.
So anybody even with an idea and they're not quite sure what to do to get it up and running?
Yeah.
What would you suggest?
I would suggest breaking down your goal or your idea into the smallest sum of its parts. So like work out what's the smallest thing you can do right now to validate or test your idea. For the B2C business, that was our Excel sheet. For the B2B business, it was just a prototype that I went to businesses and sold. We didn't have a product, we just sold a prototype. So work out what's the smallest thing you can do right now to validate your idea or your business. Go out, test it. I think people can get too overwhelmed if they think of this, we've got to build this grand business with break it down into one small thing, 1 week, 1 action, 1 focus, do it, move on.
Sure.
I think that's big.
So it's just getting the wheels turning, really.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Grow from
just
that.
The hardest part is starting.
Yeah.
Then it's just all, momentum from there.
Very good. Well, it's been a pleasure having you, Joel.
Yeah, thank you.
Exciting times,
It is.
And wish you the best of luck.
Thanks so much.
See you again.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.